Hello everyone, at 1995 here in the video game fanfiction plot with a new story for you all. It is called Transformers Prime Stay, and I do hope you enjoy this video. And remember, I do not own the Transformers Prime series or this story. I give full credit to its author Jessica Marie 72 on Wattpad. Now onto the story. Transformers Prime Stay. Book 1. Tracy was normal. Human. No creepy special powers unless you counted her ability to turn situations around in her favor. But she won't be normal for long. She became special when she volunteered to give up her life as a human and become an Autobot. One day leads to the rest of her life going from normal to extraordinary, and her bonds with the Autobots, one in particular, will be what gets her through the challenges thrown in her path, like when she is forced to face off with Megatron time and again. It's a deadly path she walks, and danger threatens her every move. By Jessica Marie 72. The beginning of it all. Maiko. I shouted her name as I rushed down the school steps. I hadn't been expecting her here so late. Then again, she probably had detention, as she did plenty of times. Me? I was working on a school project about Frisian horses. I had a report to do for Vet Science. 8. She looked up from her phone, which she apparently adored, though she'd never tell what she was looking at me, and waved. Some days I theorized she might have a secret boyfriend, actually. Hey Tracy. She was as bright as ever. That was part of the reason she was so much fun, and a bit, well, a lot, of a troublemaker. And while I was typically more your goody two-shoes kinda gal, we had the same kind of fierce passion. 6. I didn't have a problem being a goody two-shoes either. What was so wrong about liking to wear both your shoes? Really? Like I want to develop a limp or look like a dork? Whatever. Where on earth have you been lately? I can hardly find you anymore. Which was pretty unusual. When she transferred here, we'd spent lots of time together, the last few months. Not so much. It was like Maikoville turned into a ghost town. And honestly, she seemed a bit taken aback at my question. Huh? Oh, yeah. I've been really busy with clubs and stuff lately. Well, if the stumbling over her own words wasn't enough of a giveaway, the clubs and stuff excuse was. There was no way she was involved with anything that didn't involve rock and roll, monster trucks, or an adrenaline rush. Arts and crafts just weren't in Maiko's repertoire. Clubs? Alright Maiko, really? Where have you been? And of course, cue the way she began nervously rubbing the back of her neck and biting her lip. That was, of course, when her ride came up, a big green truck, and honked. How typical. She got to dodge the question and run off to some unknown location because that girl never told me anything anymore. Oh, look. My ride's here. Gotta go. She ran off and jumped in the truck without so much as looking back. I sighed in frustration, not even bothering to look at the dumb thing's license plate. It was frustrating as all get out to not know where my best friend, who knew, maybe former best friend, was running off to without me. Say whatever you want, Maiko. You've got a secret. Quite possibly a boyfriend secret. So for the next few weeks I watched Maiko leave in the same truck. And after 23 days I decided to follow in her and my car. Even though it felt ancient and had trouble keeping up, it got the job done. Well, sort of. It sucked, actually. The dumb thing was terrible, but I still managed to follow her for a couple miles until she vanished in a cloud of dust when the driver started off-roading. That didn't surprise me, considering who the passenger was. I stopped my car at the three-way intersection and pulled over, beyond frustrated. I'd given it my best shot, and horribly lost. Great. I'm losing my best friend to a dust cloud. That definitely wasn't a battle I was okay losing. To a dust cloud. I couldn't even put up a fight for my friend when it came to dust. I am such a loser, I thought bitterly. 3. I sighed and tried to relax. Unfortunately, apparently I relaxed too much and fell asleep in my car. I guess that's what you get for getting into a not-so-high-speed chase with a vanishing truck. Yup. Living life on the edge. It wasn't even that late, honestly. And that part sucked. I'd have a hell of a time falling asleep later tonight. Speaking of. When I woke up, it was dark, insinuating how long I had actually been sleeping. Great. Good job. You'll sleep like a baby tonight, won't you? Not. 3. Well, my thoughts were bitter and self-scolding until what I thought was a cliffside opened to reveal an entrance. A very large, multi-layered entrance. Son of a. Holy crap. Those were pretty much the only words I could muster, but not my first choice. Out came the bulky green truck with Michael inside, followed by a yellow and black striped Camaro and blue bike. Well, crotch rocker was the street term. 1. What in the world? It definitely didn't make much sense. At least not to me. Thankfully, no one seemed to notice my presence. They probably assumed the car was empty, which wouldn't be a surprise if this old thing broke down, and they didn't bother to stop. But I didn't waste the opportunity to race inside. I had to figure out what kind of crazy club, if you could call it that, my so-called best friend was really involved in. I turned on the ignition, praying those who were departing wouldn't hear me, shifted my car into drive and hit the gas, hard. I drove the small distance that separated me from the entrance, through the tunnel, even, so far so good, only to crash into something made of metal almost as big as my car. Thank goodness I wasn't going that fast. It didn't even activate the airbags. The front of my car, however, took a fair dent from the impact. I got out, obviously distressed over the damage. That car was my bed most nights, and I prayed silently that the damage wasn't permanent. It had been enough of a stretch getting a car in the first place, and now? I was sort of royally screwed. Crap. How am I supposed to fix that? Yup. That was pretty much the only question on my mind as I just about shouted, gesturing to the damage briefly before raking a hand through my hair. I groaned and dug my nails into my scalp, the pressure firm. When I heard a voice that wasn't my own, saying I felt ridiculous was a bit of an understatement. Pardon me? Saying I got to look up to the source of the voice would be another understatement. Because here was this 100 or so foot red and blue robot looking down at me. This was definitely not my day. Holy. I tumbled backwards, trying to walk, but I landed on my butt unceremoniously and began to crab walk. 13. Okay, robot was freaky. That he, I think it has a gender, anyway, though I don't want to find out, looked utterly human. Except for body hair and whatnot, his structure was the exact same. Arms, legs, a very human-looking face. Silver covered all the areas that weren't red or blue, like the transitory spaces in the arms, legs and abdomen. Ratchet, it appears that we have a situation. Okay, the first time was freaky, and the second time wasn't much better. Hearing him speak was unnerving. What do you? Oh. Okay, so apparently that one didn't notice me come crashing and cursing in. And having another one around at all? Just. Why me? That one, which had apparently responded to Ratchet, was mostly orange and white. This day just kept getting better and better, didn't it? Oh, I was swimming in joy right about now. Oh. Oh no. Look, I did not mean to hit your foot or whatever like that. I swear I didn't, but I just wanted to know what was going on because Maiko always disappears lately and I just wanted to know where she was going and right now I kinda regret it cause I don't wanna be stepped on like a bug. 4. I tried to protect my head with my hands, not that it mattered. No one's going to hurt you, the first, larger, leaner one told me. His voice, could it be called a voice to them, was deep and calm. Except maybe the Decepticons, the second one added, a hint of snarkiness in his tone. Who are the Decepticons? And what on earth are you guys? Apparently when I meet something freaky, I start losing control over what I actually say. And I blurt out the first thing that pops up. 4. I am Optimus Prime, the red and blue robot began, and that is Ratchet. We are the Autobots. Our fellow Autobots, Bulkhead, Bumblebee, and RC, are currently taking Maiko, Raphael and Jack home. Maiko? Raph? Jack? 11. More importantly, this was Maiko's idea of a club? Oh. Oh no. I think she and I had a conversation coming about the definition of club. And a more pressing issue yet again, holy crap. There are more of you? I recognized the name Jack and Raphael, but I wasn't sure if they were the kids I knew in school or someone else entirely. Either option was a good possibility. Yes, Optimus replied calmly. I guess he wasn't much for small talk. I should just go home now. I cannot be involved with some crazy Autobot, Decepticon crazy world. Redundant, I know, but when I was confronted with some parallel universe worthy material, I didn't think as much as I should. I just wanted to get out of here and go back to Normalville. 5. I turned away and started walking, completely overwhelmed by all of this. How on earth did this kind of stuff find its way to Jasper, Nevada? How on earth did this stuff even exist? It was supposed to sit quietly in the realm of impossibility, not pop up and go here I am. 1. I cannot allow that. It was Optimus who'd spoken. His voice was, well, something else, I guess. It was always so calm. What was wrong with him? 20. I stopped and turned to look at him, confused. What? Why not? Because the Decepticons will be able to determine if you have had contact with us, and that would put you at risk. Say what now? But. 4. No disagreements. I will take you home in my vehicle mode. Well, he certainly was persistent, wasn't he? And he was sorta calling me out on my bluff. Guess it was time to lay the cards on the table. I'd rather not go home. I didn't really want to get into this. I just wanted to get uninvolved with the whole giant robot situation. Tiny robots? Good. Freaky giant robots? Not good. Why do you object? I took a deep breath before delving into my personal life with what I assumed was not only a robot but an alien robot. Talk about Twilight Zone material. Because, I don't have one. Right now I live in a foster home. More like foster house. Those dimwits couldn't do anything. And honestly, I couldn't look at him. For whatever reason, even though I didn't know these robot-like, human-like beings, I felt ashamed at the fact that I felt unwanted. And you don't want to go back? He continued gently. Thankfully, Ratchet seemed content to continue with whatever it was he'd been doing before. No, I don't. They never wanted me. They're deadbeats who were forced to take me in. That truth still stung, even though I'd vented to Maiko about it 1,000 times. The couple who I currently lived with, a 40-somethings couple made up of a drunken brunette man and a smoker blonde woman, who I swear did hooking on the weekends, considered me community service. Yeah. They were doing good all right. Then you shall stay here for the night. I cannot guarantee any longer. That was a kind of blessing, but I didn't want to admit it. I really didn't want to admit that that was probably the nicest thing anyone had done for me in a while. 4. No offense, but I don't think a robot hideout is meant to accommodate my kind. So I'll just go find an alley back in town somewhere. Maybe sneak into school and spend the night in the nurse's office. My car seems to be down for the count at the moment. I didn't want to admit it, nor did I want to suffer the embarrassment of trying to get it to work and failing. And then he transformed into a semi-truck. A freaking semi-truck. What universe had I stumbled into exactly? I'd heard him mention vehicle mode before, but this. I believe this will be more comfortable for you. No kidding. I couldn't stop staring. It was incredible and freakish and left my heart pounding. 10. Holy scrap? Optimus offered. 14. I'd had another's word in mind, but their language was a bit addictive, at least, that part of it was. Sure. I got in the cab, crawling to the back seat where there was more room to lie down. I hated to admit it, but it was comfy. Don't know how well I'll sleep, though. I kinda passed out in my car waiting to find Maiko. I had no idea she was hiding. That was the plain truth. A boyfriend? I could picture that. Giant robots? Well, not my first guess. 8. Do you attend school with her? He asked nicely, just a shred of curiosity and a whole lot of courtesy in his tone. Yeah. She's lots of fun, but she always gets into some kind of trouble. She's definitely brave. Well, that's how I describe it, anyway. Okay, so maybe talking to an alien robot wasn't so bad. At least he was polite, and gentlemanly and kind. Maybe these guys weren't as freaky as I'd thought. But they might take some getting used to. 1. There is a fine line between being brave and being foolish. Point to giant alien robot. He definitely knew what he was talking about. 8. She might be a little of both, but if she's gaunt. Who was it? Bulkhead? I was trying to recall names. Yes, Bulkhead is Maiko's guardian, he confirmed. Yeah. As long as she's got Bulkhead looking out for her, she'll be fine. I really believed it, too. Maiko might be a troublemaker, but she meant well. I closed my eyes and went silent for a while, but something was bugging me. I barely knew this guy, Autobot, robot, thing, but I really wanted something from him. I wanted to know something. It was silly, but I had to know. Optimus? I opened my eyes tentatively. I was kind of afraid to ask, but it seemed that I was already involved with this race of robots that called themselves Autobots, and since the others had guardians, it only made sense, right? Yes, human? Whoops. Guess I hadn't properly introduced myself. Being scared for my life kinda did me in. 20. I tried to calm myself, and wondered if Optimus could feel how tense my body was through the seat. That would be a whole new kind of weird. It's Tracy. Will you promise to never let anything to happen to me the way Bulkhead takes care of Maiko? For once, I'd really like to know if someone would. I always protect those who need it. Why do you ask? Even such vague words calmed me a little bit, especially in that voice. He sounded, well, fatherly, really. 9. Because I've never had anyone to protect me. But I feel safe with you. I spilled the words out before I could change my mind. It was true. Optimus felt different. Safe. Like family, almost. If that was possible. 8. Call it instinct or the gut feeling, but Optimus made me feel like I was going to live a long, full life. And he would make sure no deceptive whatevers hurt me. Then let us hope it stays that way, he said simply. Well, that was a good sign, wasn't it? 6. I thought of one more thing, however odd it was that it just came to me now. I'm sorry I hit you with my car. Tracy? Yeah? It's fine. Now go to sleep. 10. I didn't bother him anymore. I lay there for a while, keeping my thoughts to myself. It was a couple hours before I actually fell asleep, but I managed, somehow. I woke up, stretched, and got out of the cab the next morning, a bit uncomfortable, but I'd gotten used to it after several bouts of sleeping in my crap car. I guessed it was about 7 to 8ish in the morning. I didn't bother to check the time, but tried my best to adapt to the situation. 1. Morning, Optimus. Morning, Ratchet, I greeted, waving. My stomach ached a bit, reminding me I needed food like any other human. And who knew? A good night's rest really helped with feeling more comfortable around these beings. When you were sleeping in one of them, anyway. Good morning, Tracy, they replied, nearly in sync though not quite. Optimus transformed back to his human-ish mode, I guess you could call it. Shall I take you to the school? Optimus offered, and I nearly laughed, though managed to restrain myself. It's Saturday. No school today. Besides, summer break is starting in 2 weeks. And I couldn't wait. Summer, one more year or school, then I'd be off scot-free. 8. The others are here, Ratchet said plainly, focused on some giant screens that looked very high-tech. I don't know how he knew that, really, but Bulkhead, Bumblebee, and RC, or so I assumed, drove in. Jack dismounted the bike, and Maiko and Ref got out of their respective vehicles. Yup. Jack and Ref from school. That was when the others transformed and there were 3 scrapping more of these gigantic robotic organisms in front of me. I did my best to get over it, shook my head and ran over to hug Maiko, who apparently hadn't noticed me quite yet. Maiko. I threw my arms around her and she looked utterly stunned. Tracy. Oh my gosh, how did you get here? She yelled, her arms returning my embrace. 5. I followed you and, bulkhead? I looked at the giant green one. He seemed nice enough. The blue woman, if you could call her that, however, seemed a bit cranky. I wasn't sure if that was normal or just because of my arrival. I also noticed that Ratchet had moved my car out of the way and into a corner overnight. Not like it was good for much anymore anyway. 3. Another one, Optimus? The blue-painted female asked, looking less than pleased albeit a bit curious. 2. Affirmative. You know the danger of the Decepticons, Optimus replied. I was beginning to wonder about these Decepticons and why they were so dangerous. So, I was still lost, and I turned to the one person I thought might be able to help. Maiko, do you mind explaining all of this? I got nothing. She beamed at me. I'll try, but I'm not sure how much I remember from when Optimus told us. The Decepticons are essentially the bad guys, Jack started. I recognized him from several classes we had together, though we didn't talk a whole lot. Led by Megatron, Raph continued. I knew him because I did a TA class and was often sent down to help with the younger kids. Hey. She asked me to tell her, Maiko interrupted, obviously offended. Yesh. Anyway, there was this huge battle back at Cybertron, their home planet, over this cube thingy called the Allspark that all of them come from. Now the Autobots, led by Optimus, and the Decepticons, led by Megatron, are locked in a super world war for it. Unfortunately, the bots are majorly outnumbered by the cons, so they've got a big disadvantage. An idea struck me, and I paused before voicing it, but I felt like it would hold the solution for a lot of our problems. Kind of, anyway. 3. Then use me. I murmured quietly, mulling it over. I could help them and I would have an actual, real purpose. 12. Excuse me? Optimus asked. He was their actual leader. And he gazed down at me in what I assumed was shock as I voiced my plan, or not so much plan as idea, but when I said it, it felt right. 2. Make me an Autobot. Sounds like you could use every ally you can get, so you can't just turn me down. I'm willing to give my life for this. I really was, too. I wanted to do something worthwhile. We cannot risk an innocent, he said plainly. All I got from that was an attempted no, but I wouldn't outshot it. 6. I was more than willing to do this and I was able. I wasn't going to let this go for anything. Optimus. I told you already, you made me feel safe for the first time in my life, no offense, Maiko, but I trust you to take care of me and make sure I'll be okay. I can fight for the Autobots. We have no way to turn you into an Autobot to begin with, he said plainly. Another back and forth. 3. Can't Ratchet figure something out? Just get the resources and use part of the energy from the Allspark or whatever? Isn't it possible? I was desperate, even though I wasn't quite sure why, to go through with this. It would be risky, and it could take weeks to finish. If we were able to pull it off, there's no guarantee that your human body would be functional. I would either have to use your body as the basic template or transfer your mind and thoughts to the new body, Ratchet stated very matter-of-factly. 5. Do whatever you need to, I replied, my heart rising with a bit of hope that this was really happening. I was so absorbed in the details that I hardly noticed much other than what we were discussing. I had to know if it would happen. I would love for it to happen. I'll begin the research, Ratchet stated. 19. That elated me. I could hardly believe this was going to happen, but I wanted it to happen so much that once the idea was inside my brain it burrowed there and wouldn't let go. Tracy, are you sure you want to do this? Optimus questioned, wanting to make certain I wasn't going to back down or regret my decision later. 5. I've got nothing else to look for. If you can give me a whole new life, then that's good enough for me. He simply nodded but continued to study me. I guessed he was looking for warrior qualities that would actually aid in battle. But if there was any war I wanted to be part of, it was this one, where you could draw clear lines between right and wrong, between good and evil. RC, as the only other female Autobot, will have to use your basic build for her body form, Ratchet said with a clean-cut tone. RC shrugged. Sure, as long as we're not twins. 5. Good, we will begin the process as soon as possible, the medic said. Optimus's eyes, could you call them eyes, were still locked with mine, and I wondered what he was thinking about me and my decision. Hopefully it was something good, but one thing was certain. I was going to become an Autobot. Well, that's the ending of that chapter. I do hope you enjoy this video. If you like to see more, remember to hit that like button, subscribe to this channel and leave a comment down below. Until next time.